Yo, what's going on, guys? Frankietrades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. This week is looking a little bit interesting. That's why I decided to make one for you guys this time around. Last week wasn't so interesting, but I got time to bring you some heat on this coming one. So, first things first, before we get started, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. We're currently at 850 subs, almost at 1,000. So let's go ahead and run that number up. But to go ahead and get started, the only earnings that I see that is really interesting for me for the week is NVDA. NVIDIA has been one of the biggest stocks in our stock hours group chat as of recently. It's been basically our new Tesla. You know, basically all the times that you guys have seen me trade Tesla in the past, where it was the stock we used to trade every day. Now it's been NVIDIA, which is pretty awesome. But it is going to be a short week. Looking at here on the calendar, on Monday we don't have too much going on. Tuesday we only have existing home sales at 10, something to look out for. We also have FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is pretty much just a summary of what the last FOMC was. So nothing too big there. Wednesday, we actually have durable goods, jobless claims at 8:30, and then consumer sentiment at 10, which is pretty big. And then going into Thursday, because it's Thanksgiving, the market is closed. And on Friday, you see that we actually have an early close. You can see here we actually have the PMI composite flash at 9:45 a.m. Eastern, so 15 minutes into the market. And then the market closes at 1 p.m. Eastern. So half day, contracts are going to be more volatile, so just be careful on that day. But it is a pretty short week. I am pretty excited about NVIDIA though, but I do have a little bit of that cooking for you guys. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and dive deep into ES here. So going on the daily time frame here on ES, you can see that we're starting to break out. We broke out of that 44.30 range. You can see right here. We've been pushing up ever since. So the first area that I'm looking at on ES is I'm actually more interested to the upside, since that's where most of the setups are at. But if you go to the 1 hour and look a little bit closer, you can see here that we're actually currently in a range ever since from Tuesday. We've been stuck between 4,500 and 45.40 area. So I'm looking at upside wise, I'm looking at 45.41 all the way up to 45.50 for a breakout. Or if we come down, I'm looking at 4,500 for a breakdown. After 45.50 though, to the upside, I am looking at 45.66 and then 45.90 and 4,600. So those are the levels I am looking for that. Next up is NQ. Same story on the daily time frame. We are breaking out on this, but you can see that it's actually almost the same exact setup as ES. We've been consolidated. We broke out on Tuesday, and we actually ended up being a consolidation between 15,800 and 16,000. So if we come down to the downside, I'm looking at 15,800. If we come to the upside, I'm looking at 16,000 and 16,062 as the target on that, since that was a recent high as a while ago. I won't say recent high. Yeah, it was actually a recent high on the 4 hour ever since from July. Yeah. So you can see we failed to break out, and we're actually retesting it again here. So that is something I am looking forward to playing on that. Next up, now that we get started into the watch list, is Coin. This is going to be part of my main watches here. I am pretty excited about this. The only downside about playing Coin is that the spreads are pretty bad on that if you are caught on a pullback. So you do got to be a little bit careful though. But you can see here on the 1 hour, the algo does have a trend line that stops us at around 50 cents above the 100 area, which isn't necessarily the best outcome for us. But with the right momentum and volatility with Coin, this could have a crazy breakout. So I'm willing to take the risk on it and have a tight stop loss on this. But first area of entry is, you can see that we actually had a flat top across 99.40, but I decided to put mine across 99.50 because they're more than likely with a stock this, I won't say small, but with these kinds of numbers, they're more likely to set up every 50-cent increments with walls. So I'm going to be looking at 99.50 and then 100 for a breakout on that. So that is it for Coin. Next up is NVIDIA. Like I said, NVIDIA does have earnings on Tuesday, but the exciting part about NVIDIA is I'm still willing to try this. The contracts will be super expensive, and they won't pay out as usual or as normal as most people are used to, because it does have earnings, so it needs a lot bigger move for the contracts to pay out. But if this does end up coming up for 500, this is an area, or I guess this is a trade that I'm willing to take. First area I'm looking at is 499 as a first entry, and then adding more on the 500 break. My target on this is 502. So that is pretty much it for NVIDIA. It's nothing too crazy, but this does end up coming around. I will play this. I will not be shy to be taking it, just because contracts are expensive and it does have earnings. It is the risk is there for me. And also NVIDIA just happens to move with earning contracts from the times I've played it before too. So that is something I'm looking forward to on that. And as far as the watch list goes, as the side watch list goes, I actually have AMD here on the 4 hour. You can see we actually have a level across 122.50 that we respected recently. I say recently, even though it was back in June. But you can see that we have a flat bottom there, and you can see it's an area we've actually been respecting ever since. So, first area of entry that I'm looking at on AMD is this 121.50 area right here. Target would be 122. After 122, I want to judge the momentum and see how we get up to 122.50. Not a crazy setup. The risk is there on AMD, especially if NVDA does well during earnings or even before earnings. If NVIDIA tends to get a rally up, and you could probably see AMD doing the same thing with it because they both complement each other. So next up is Netflix. Literally nothing too crazy about this. It's just a side watch list. There's no trend lines, no crazy levels. I just like the 470 level. This has moved up with the market. It's expected. It's listed under the NASDAQ, so it is expected to move with it. But I am looking at the 470 level as a scalp in case this happens to get some sort of momentum at that area. So next up is Shop, which I do like a lot. Ended up catching this on Friday for a 40% trade, which is pretty nice. But what I'm looking at on here is the 69 level. You can see that that was the most recent high before we broke 70. And we came all the way back down. The high was on July 19th, and then we came back to retest it on Friday, and we rejected it around a few cents before 69. So I'm looking at Shop at 69, at the level 69, and then after that I'm looking at 70 for the target on that. Or you can play 70 as its own if this does have the momentum behind it, but I'm usually not a fan of playing Shop momentum breakouts like that. I like scaling into the trade into a target area of what I have. So that's usually how I'm probably going to play this. Play the 69 level and then kind of scale into the trade until we get up to 70 and break that level. So that is it for Shop. And last but not least is Tesla. Tesla's pretty far away. I don't want to dive too deep in this because, like I said, it is pretty far away. But if you go to the 30-minute time frame, you can see that we actually have a double bottom here at 226.50. I know with the stock hours chat on Friday, Nor ended up signaling I think it was a 40% Tesla trade on this, which is pretty insane for a setup like that. It was at the 231 level. You can see that we had a double bottom here as well, almost like exactly like this setup. Only this time around, I'm going to be looking at 226.50 all the way into 225. If this does have the same weakness as it did on Friday, so you can see they bought it up. But with Tesla, you never know with what kind of momentum and volatility they can put behind that. So that is something to be on the lookout for. But that is pretty much it for the weekly watches, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Without much more being said, I hope you guys enjoy the week. Enjoy the time with your family. It is Thanksgiving week. Even if you don't celebrate it, spend some time with your family and give thanks to something. So, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy your week and be safe. Peace.